How many people do you think Mercer fans will come to the Alabama game?
Oh God, probably 1,000 at the most, probably, or less.
How many Troy fans would go?
At least 10,000 or more, if it's situated right, no question about it. And of course, Alabama is they've got Florida early, but other than that, I don't think they'll have any.
I was looking at Alabama's got a new starting quarterback that's going to open up against Miami. That's a tough opener. And then Mercer. You would think that Alabama could take the starters out in the second quarter against Mercer, right?
Oh yeah.
But I wonder if they will, because they're going to want to get this quarterback as many reps as he can before the Florida game, don't you think?
Yeah, exactly.
So normally that would be a game where you think, Tyson's going to get a lot of playing time, but maybe not.
I'll tell you this. I'll tell you how bad the Mercer game is. If Alabama wanted to score 100 points, they could do it in this game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is the worst team that's ever been in Bryant-Denny Stadium. This is the worst team ever.
We need to. I don't. Michael, you might know. Are they pretty good in 1AA?
No, I mean they didn't start the program until like 15 years ago. I think.
I wish they would let them just let them everybody play and they just score. They could score 100 points easy, no question about it.
Yeah, you look at last year's team, all SEC schedule. It was rare when that team got stopped. I mean, you think about it.
Yeah.
How many times did Alabama punt all year?
If people want to know who the quarterbacks can be, of course, everybody knows that it's Bryce Young, he'll
the $1 million man.
Yeah, that's right, the $1 million man already. What is he?
Like 20 years old.
I mean, right now these are people that are his sponsors. Is that what they call?
I don't know what he's getting. There's some kind of endorsement deal that some people say Saban exaggerated, but I don't know who's doing this. Video games or social media people. I don't know who's paying all these players all this money.
And then they've gone ahead.
Well, people said Bryce Young though actually they'd probably be on commercials. Like during some of the Alabama games.
I'm sure.
But he's got his whole production team behind him, so it could be stuff throughout the year that he's a part of.
You know, already on the depth chart, they've got Jalen Milroe as the backup to Bryce Young. He's the transfer from.
They do?
No, he comes from Texas.
They got him ahead of Tyson?
That's right. They got him ahead of Tyson. He's got Tyson right now as the third at 6'5", 228. Is the third quarterback on the list.
Interesting.
And then how about this great name?
Is that according to Phil Steele?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm sure.
Tyson ran number 2 in the spring because what's his name didn't play.
Yeah, but Phil still gets this from the university. He doesn't make this up, you know.
Sometimes he gets them wrong, and then sometimes he's right. But
I'll tell you this.
I think Milroe had COVID in the spring. And so he was a bunch of players didn't play in the 8A game.
Let me tell you a couple of others. The fourth quarterback is Stone Hollabach. That's his name. His name is Stone Hollabach, 6'3", 208. And then a kid named Braxton Baker, 6'2", 202. Barker. Oh, I'm sorry. That's right. Look here, they say it's spelled wrong. So that's one thing. He's gonna. Somebody needs to catch Phil Steele on this. They missed
Braxton.
B-A-R-K.
Yeah, I know, but they spelled it B-A-K-E-R. So
you know, it kind of bothers me that Barker has been on the team for a couple of years now, backup walk-on quarterback, and I wish he would get some playing time just to thank his dad, just so he could say he played. But they've never put him in the game. I hope maybe this year they will.
You reckon he can hold for extra points?
He played in the 8A game and completed some passes.
Another quarterback is Jaden George, 6'3", 192. You know who that is, Mike?
Jeff George's son.
That's right. So there is your quarterbacks at Alabama right now.
Jeff George played in Illinois.
All right, running backs, you've got Brian Robinson, and he played a little bit, but not enough to really make
He looked good in the last couple of games. Did you when he got the ball, especially against Ohio State and Notre Dame? When he got it, he ran hard and he got extra yards that you wouldn't think anybody could get. He's played a fair amount in his career.
He's been Najee Harris's backup the last 2 years.
All right, the number 2 running back right now is listed as Jace McClellan. He's 5'10", 212.
Yeah, he can take you to the house. He had some long runs last year.
And then and then this kid right here, Trey Sanders. He was a great player that tore his knee up. Is that right?
Yeah, first he had.
Car accident too.
But in a car accident.
His freshman year, he had. I don't think it was a foot injury or a knee injury. He missed that whole year.
Yeah.
And then last year he was starting to play a little better, and then he had a terrible car accident. So he was supposed to be a future Heisman Trophy winner when he was signed out of high school.
And let me just say this: he was considered, like you said, one of the top running back in the nation out of.
And he's probably fourth string in Alabama
is
right
he
now.
he a California kid, Mike?
No, he's out of Fort St. Joe, Florida.
Oh, is he?
IMG.
I didn't know that.
He played
Okay.
at IMG his senior year.
Well, another running back would be Roydale. Is a good name. Roydale Williams, 5'10", 210, a freshman.
Out of Hueytown.
He was the number 14th running back in the country last night.
He's good, and you can tell. That's why you stay and watch these games in mop-up duty. You can tell the young players that have got it, and Williams and then that other guy Michael talked about. They look to me like they are future stars.
Mike, will Alabama have the receivers the receivers this year? Slade Bolton is a sophomore receiver. He played a lot last year. And then Minchie, John Minchie, had a great year last year, catching passes for 916 yards. And that was an excellent job. But who else do they have?
That's a good question,
they brought in the receiver from Ohio State. It's supposed to help out a lot as a deep threat.
Is his name Adil Hall, the freshman? Is that him?
Yeah, that guy, the Hall kid, was great in the spring game. If anybody watched that, he made spectacular catches. He's the real deal.
And he's just a freshman too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, pure freshman right out of high school.
But I don't think Bolton is good enough to stay where as the number 1. What do you think?
He's a good possession receiver and slot receiver.
Yeah,
he's kind of like a Wes Walker.
Yeah, he can play. Mechie is going to be a star, and then one of these freshmen needs to develop, and then the transfer from Ohio State. I would say that Alabama's going to be fine at receiver. Now, you got to think about Alabama's receivers. They've had 4 first-round draft picks in the last 2 seasons. That's an incredible.
And Billingsley, the tight end, is just like a glorified big receiver. He's like 6'3", 230.
He is really good.
There's a kid out there named Christian Leary. He's a wide receiver. Do you know anything about him? Phil Steele rated him 17 best receiver in the country.
He's one of those young guys.
Have you ever heard of him, Mike?
Freshman. Alabama's got 3 or 4 guys that were supposed to contribute last year, but just couldn't get on the field.
Yeah. Now, Kamar Wheaton is a 5'11", 190-pound freshman. Do you know anything about him?
Yeah, he was top running back in the country.
Oh, well. Well, they got him listed as the 4th best running back.
He was out of Texas.
Okay.
So Alabama, they had 1 or 2 running backs transfer that were good, and you understand why they transferred, because you've got about 5 or 6 blue chip running backs on the depth chart, and there's only enough carries to get maybe 3 of them some significant playing time.
Mike,
so there's going to be 3 running backs that are not happy.
And then another of these wide receivers, Cooper Bishop. Have you ever heard his name?
He sounds like a walk-on. I've never heard that.
That's what I was saying. That's what I was thinking.
Alabama's got a wide receiver, Baker, that was supposed to play a lot last year, but never really got on the field.
But of course, you like you said, a lot of them just were redshirted and didn't even.
Who's the receiver that's with the Denver Broncos now that played at Alabama that was a first-round draft?
Jerry Judy.
So yeah, Alabama had, this is in one recruiting class, guys. Jerry Judy, Devontae Smith, the kid from Montgomery that's with the Raiders now, Ruggs. They're all first-round draft picks last year.
Yeah.
Then you follow this up with Waddle, first-round draft pick, even ahead of Devontae Smith with the Dolphins. Can you ever think of a program in college football history that has had in 2 years 4 early round, first-round draft picks that were all playing at the same time? Then you throw in Mechie, who will be a first-round draft pick this year. That's almost unprecedented in college football, I think.
Mike, will this stand up?
Maybe some of the Miami teams had receivers like that.
Yeah. Michael, will this stand up? At cornerback, number 1, Kool-Aid McKistry. Kool-Aid McKistry is a freshman cornerback. They expect him to start.
Wow. There's a buzz about him.
He didn't start in the spring.
Well, they got him listed. They got him listed as a starter here. Kool-Aid is that a real name? Kool-Aid.
He played at Penson Valley.
Played at Penson Valley.
Isn't he going to try to play basketball too?
Yeah, he's going to be a walk-on basketball player. You know, we didn't mention Alabama's top scorer came back in basketball, Shackelford.
Yeah, that was a big deal, wasn't it?
Well, he was trying to go to the NBA, and then the NBA felt like he needed to come back, and then he got in the transfer portal. And a lot of people thought he was going to leave and go to Ohio State. But instead, he stayed at Alabama. So Alabama's loaded again next year in basketball.
I was looking at Alabama in football on defense. They're loaded. I can't see anybody beating Alabama again
No,
this year.
when you go through it, I mean, the offensive line is going to be fine. The receivers, I think, we're going to be fine. Bryce Young, if he stays healthy, is going to be fine. Running backs are just stocked to the gill. Defense is going to be a lot better. It's just going to have to take a fluke, Alabama not showing up or some funny things happening in games for you to think that Alabama would lose, right?
Yes.
I mean, it's very easy how Alabama can lose. If they lose Bryce Young, they can lose a couple games in a heartbeat.
And also LSU, I think, is going to be better, much better. So they could be, but they play in Tuscaloosa. Alabama opens up in Atlanta against Miami. I don't know how long it'll take to clear that air on that game. Then Mercer, then at Florida. I would have to think that the game at Florida will be a big one. Do they have a quarterback, though? Does Florida have a quarterback that can win?
They got somebody that
They got Emory Blake coming back.
he played in spots the last couple of years. He's real athletic, isn't he? A good runner.
Yeah, they put him in on a run package deal sometimes on third down. Mullen played him a lot, though, in big situations, in big games. The guy's been in every game during the season.
I would think that Florida's offense is going to change pretty significantly because they're going to have a running quarterback, which when Mullins had the guy at Mississippi State that's the Dallas Cowboys quarterback now, he ran the ball a lot.
Yeah. There are 3 games that Alabama could run into some trouble. At Florida on September the 18th. Then at Texas A&M on October the 9th. That'll be a huge game. And then at Auburn on the 27th. Those 3 games there on the road could be trouble for Alabama.
Mm-hmm. That's it.
Well, if Harsin beats Alabama his first year, look out.
Yeah, he's going to be a good coach, no question.
I mean, Alabama bats about, even under Saban, about 50-50 when they go to Jordan Hare. So that's.
And
Alabama and Auburn, as far as the Saban era, Saban either blows Auburn out, I'm talking about really big blow-offs, about 4 or 5 touchdowns, or he loses a close game in Auburn.
That's right. Yep. Or that close game in Tuscaloosa when they had Cam. But I've noticed that too in doing my research. Alabama has had a lot of lopsided wins over Auburn, and then they've lost to Auburn several times.
George, the Aggies of Texas A&M they're doing all this talking about they're going to be real good and everything, but their quarterback is a pure freshman. I mean, not a pure freshman, but is a freshman that had not played a down at Texas A&M. In fact, none of their quarterbacks have played a down, and they expect.
Some of them have played. You just got to realize if they were a freshman last year, they got them listed as a freshman again this year.
How about Hayes?
So they had a guy that came in and played mop-up against Alabama last year. That was a freshman.
All right, his name is Hayes King. I think that's the same one. He's a quarterback right now, the number one quarterback at Texas A&M. I just don't think they've got enough skill at quarterback to play for a team like Alabama.
That's the question.
Well, there had to be a reason they weren't playing this guy and playing Kellen Mond, and we all thought Kellen Mond was not great.
Yeah, that's right. No question about it. Well, it's going to be
well, Alabama also has another tough game. The front half of Alabama's schedule is very tough.
Ole Miss will be tough.
I mean, Alabama got out by the skin of its teeth against Ole Miss last year, and I guarantee that Tiffin has Alabama figured out. He'll put up 30 or 40 on Alabama again this year, I would think.
But I tell you what, he's got a big-time quarterback, and that you got to have that to beat Alabama, I guarantee you.
Mm-hmm.
You better have a quarterback that can play.
The teams that have beaten Alabama often had quarterbacks that are not only very good, but they had the games of their career when they beat Alabama.
Mike, has Alabama got somebody that can rush the passer?
Yeah.
Yeah, Will Anderson and Christopher Allen. Alabama's got the two best pass rushers they've had in a long time.
And you didn't even mention LeBron Ray. Or DJ Dale. You know him?
Heard all the time.
Yeah, LeBron Ray had first-round talent, and it was a 5-star prospect coming out of high school, but he can't stay healthy. So
or how about Ferdarian Mathis Jr.? What do you think about him? 6'4", 312.
Yeah, they're talking big about him.
He was at media day.
Yeah, okay. And DJ Dale, a sophomore.
And then there's another buzz about a backup defensive lineman named Tim Smith that they're expecting to really blossom this year.
Well, I tell you, they seem to be loaded as far as having a lot of depth. LeBron Ray is considered the best nose guard in the country. Is that right?
DJ
wow,
Dale.
I don't know about that. I put DJ.
All right, we're going to our phones. Let's see if we can catch.
Good morning. You're on Today in L.A.
This is Max. How y'all this morning?
Hey.
Max Howell, how you doing,
Did you
brother?
go to SEC Media Days?
No, I didn't get there this time. I had some real problems over there. The guy I was going to stay with for 4 days came down with the new virus, so I didn't want to risk that. And then Lynn Scarper and I have been good friends for years at Writes for Linda's Magazine. He just called in Sunday night to do an 80-page edition by tomorrow because of the Milwaukee Bucks. He wasn't pleased with that assignment, I confess.
Yeah.
So I did a couple of shows from there and stayed in touch with most of you in the week. But
Max,
a lot of activity going on. Media Day, I don't think will be the same anymore after this. Particularly Texas and Oklahoma make the move.
Max, we don't have the best connection for some reason. Let's see. Let's try.
Well, we got a little static, but we can still hear you. Okay.
Right.
Well, tell us first. Let's start with that. Do you think Texas and Oklahoma are coming to the SEC?
I would have to say this, guys. If Greg Sankey released it at Media Day, I think it's already done. I mean, this guy's ultra-conservative. Go back and check his track record. He didn't get involved in many, rumors. I'm not sure that they haven't reached out to him. And I think this is much further along than we already know.
This thing could have if this goes through, they could have long-term effects on
everything.
What they call the Power 5 conferences.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt, Mike. I think if that happens, it's going to be the next step is to consolidate, probably the top 20 teams in the country. I think that's probably the evolutionary stages that they go through the college football. Yeah. Because the guys at the top the finances are so much different than
unbelievable.
The second, third tier in Division I. It makes it, it's no longer an even playing field.
Nope.
I mean, let's talk about
no question.
This image thing coming about.
gosh.
Oh
So I'm
man,
just saying,
this is opening up a can of worms at the most I've ever seen it. It's unreal.
No, yeah.
It is, Mike. I mean, I think we all understand evolution and changes, and I wasn't really expecting another shift as far as conferences are concerned, mainly because so many people lost money last year.
Yeah.
And the whole thing, guys, is driven by money. We all know that. And that's why the playoffs, that's why the extension of the playoffs moving to 12, and there's so many other changes coming. But I think that back to the original point, with Oklahoma and Texas coming into the SEC, if in fact that is a reality, that's the first step. Then what about an Ohio State? Then what about a Southern Cal? And now all of a sudden we've got a national conference.
Here's what I think is going to happen. Looking like you are 3 or 4 moves ahead in this chess game, it's going to be a super big boy division of football with about 4 super conferences. That'll be about 65 prestige elite teams. And then here's where this affects everybody watching this show right now. You're going to have, in effect, a AAA level of Division I football, which is going to be the Troys of the world and the Tulanes and the UABs. And so how are we going to like that? I'm not going to like it, personally. We're going to be considered like a second-tier Division I program, not getting as many of these games against the big boys that, we get these paychecks from. So it's going to affect Troy, 5-10 years down the road.
I don't think they have enough rules and regulations to govern any of this. I think you've got to govern some of it, don't you think?
Well, it has, but the NCAA will change, guys. It'll be a different organization as far as it won't be like anything. It'll change just as the conference changes. If we go for the changes, I mean, go back and look. In the 1920s, the strongest conference in America was up in the Ivy League. Those people don't even get scholarships anymore.
Yeah,
So, I mean, go back and look at the history of the game and how evolution changes. If we all are guilty of living in the moment of what we're accustomed to.
All right.
But I hate to be bearing users for it, but that day's over.
Max, we're having a little bit of sound problem. We're going to take a short break here. We're going to come right back to you when we get back.
When it comes to surgery, precision is perfection. The very latest technology available ensures the best possible outcome. The Mako robotic arm-assisted surgery system is now available at Troy Regional Medical Center. Skilled orthopedic surgeon Dr. Robert L. Liljeberg and his team provide patients with faster recovery and better movement after a knee replacement surgery. When accuracy matters, you deserve the very best. Troy Regional Medical Center.
Are you ready?
This is my chart from Southeast Health.
And you're going to want to make it yours.
Not because it's free,
but because it's priceless. Because with my chart, you can schedule appointments online with your provider.
You can email your provider and get answers. Get test results.
Refill prescriptions.
And manage your family's health care.
You know how we all want healthcare to be easier?
But no one seems to listen?
Well, someone did.
Southeast Health.
To get your free My Chart app,
visit your app store or go to southeasthealth.org.
Troy Cable Security makes it easy to stay aware and stay in control of your home wherever you are. User-friendly interface allows easy navigation for lights, locks thermostat, video and garage doors. Never worry about leaving your garage door open or the front door unlocked. Your mobile app can send alerts to your phone for alarm and no alarm events. Know when your children arrive home from school with video response. Make sure your home is powered by Troy Cable Security for ultimate access, awareness, and protection.
A personal touch, a high level of trust. Whether it's checking and savings accounts, personal or business loans, or our local friendly service. That's what Troy Bank and Trust customers expect. But now we offer more. Free identity theft protection for our new and existing customers, protecting your family's time, money, and good name from identity theft. Because protecting your identity is now a big part of our identity.
Back to our show, ladies and gentlemen, brought to you by Premier Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, and Ram trucks on the bypass, where they're dealing like you have never seen them deal before. Nobody beats a Premier deal, nobody. Of course, Mike Amos along with Bill Rice Jr. And on the phone with us, ladies and gentlemen, is one of the top sports analysts in the country, and Max Howell, my good friend Max Howell, is going into the Troy University Hall of Fame on September the 1st. Is that right?
September 3rd.
Oh, September 3rd, excuse me.
It's the day before the home opener.
That's right. And I know, have you already been through here to have your deal done?
Oh, everything's done, yeah.
Oh, you've already okay, I just wanted to check, see if they've interviewed you yet. And did you have fun with your interview?
Oh, yeah, that was, Mike, that's been almost 2 years ago.
So you, excuse me, they just got through with another, they're going to put these things back to back, you know, it's going to be
right, yeah.
It's going to be real good. And I know
we're
you're
going to have two
to
classes because COVID kept us from honoring Max's class.
But Max, let me tell you something about it. You've got to wear that ring, that beautiful ring. You got to wear it and promote Troy.
You get a ring when you get in the Hall of Fame?
Yes, sir.
Mike, for 2 years.
I know it. And boy, and I tell you what, that is a beautiful ring. It really is. And Bill asked.
I'll be excited about that. I will be.
Bill asked and said, well, I didn't know they gave him a ring. And,
it's a first-class college Hall of Fame, man.
It really is. It really is, Bill.
Well, I've been to a bunch, and
I'm gonna get you in there to see it. Yeah.
You're right. This is well organized and run as any I've ever seen.
Yeah.
They do a remarkable job.
Well,
now there's some other people we got to get in there too. I've been I've stayed out of it, but.
We of course we lost Sim Bird. He was in the Hall of Fame, and of course we lost Alvin Dees, one of my favorite players on that '68 team, and then Gary Loggins, a guy I played with at Troy from Dothan High School. He died recently too, and so that's three guys that off of that '68 team that's not with us anymore, but will always be with us in spirit.
Well, that's this Hall of Fame keeps them alive in spirit.
It sure does. It sure does. And you know one thing about this, Max, Max is laid back, and you know things like this probably don't jump out at him like they would me because he's been there and done that. But do you know they have a machine at in the arena that all you do is go up and tap your name in, and that whole script that you just got through doing not too long ago comes on the screen, and that's forever. Listen, that script is
that
rerun.
Video. It's a video
on Max Howell, a video and everything. Your any of your kin or any of your friends would like to find out about Max Howell, they find out about it right there.
Now, I want to hear more about any teams that you think we're under the radar that are going to be better than some people think, or have you looked at it that closely yet?
Oh yeah, I think Ole Miss is a team that needs to be watched this year. They returned a starting quarterback. He's already preseason All-American. Probably should be the number one quarterback in the Southeastern Conference this year. And I think the schedule is very favorable. But they play in the SEC West.
Mm-hmm.
They'll certainly count. I don't believe they can beat that. They don't believe they can beat Alabama. They got to go to Tuscaloosa. They'll struggle with A&M. They'll struggle with LSU as they do every year. I think they've got a good chance to beat Auburn probably. But I got them penciled in right now. They're probably 8-4. I think the whole key to them is their defense, as it has been for a number of years.
Yep.
But they returned a good solid group on the offensive side, and and Kiffin can put some points on the board. Put 48 on Alabama last year.
Yeah.
So, you know, I like them. I like where they, you know, the way they fit into ways to handle that program. They recruited very heavily on the defensive side this year. Brought in eight defensive players, both through recruiting and transfers. So he's well aware of what their weakness is. The other side of that, I think Missouri in the East probably. Be watching. I got them personally in probably number 3, and so I think it's going to be an exciting time. I'll be anxious to watch the Georgia Clemson game to open up, and Alabama and Miami. And, I can't wait for it to start. Tell you the truth, guys.
Mm-hmm. I like something on a personal level, Max. Did you know that there's a kid at Ole Miss? He's a walk-on that his. You know his granddaddy well, Parker White. Parker White's grandson is a walk-on at Ole Miss, and has done well. He's done well. And I thought you'd get a kick out of that.
Is that Abner's son?
That's Abner White's son. And of course, you know, everybody knows where Abner's chicken is over in Mississippi, and it's Abner's
Isn't he
son.
a kicker?
No, he's a wide receiver.
Oh, okay.
And he has, you know, done well.
If he's got the Parker White genes in him, he's a done.
You're exactly right. You're exactly right. Of course, we lost Parker not long ago, just a couple of weeks ago, and I was thinking he would have loved it. He would have loved it to see his grandson.
Yeah, that's true.
And you know, his son too. You know, he played, walked on at Alabama. I mean, at Ole Miss. Yeah. So his son and his grandson made it at Ole Miss.
Didn't Parker White play at Auburn though?
Yes, he did. Parker White played at Auburn, then came to Troy and played.
That's right.
But you know who Parker White had to play with? Now Albert Elmore was one of them, but he had at the 9th and 10th grade he had to tackle Bobby Marlowe at practice.
That's right.
Did he ever tell you stories? Did he ever tell you stories about having a?
Oh yeah, just survive. Hey Mike, just surviving those practices with him.
Oh yeah.
Made him a tough nut. I can tell you that.
Bobby Marlowe, and even today, and I can say this without any doubt. He could play today just like he played then because he was so big, so strong, and so fast. He could fly, they said. Huh?
Well, I think, Mike, one thing is that they didn't have all the public relations and all the awards and all in those days. Because had he played today, oh my gosh, I mean, he'd been a first-team All-American a couple of times. He'd been in the NFL. He'd have made billions of dollars in the NFL. Because I mean, the guy was very unusual. Let's put it that way. He was not only a great athlete, but he had some endurance. You know, I was coaching at Carroll High, I believe, when this happened.
Yeah.
He owned a roofing company. Am I not right? Toward the end of his career?
Yeah.
At the end of his working career? He owned a roofing company, and in those days, they put the paper down and just put hot tar. Well, a bucket of tar spilled on his arm. The hot tar. He just took a towel and wiped it off, skin and all.
Well, this is Marlowe that did this?
Yes, he did.
Ain't that amazing? All right. Now listen.
Tough guy.
I am looking at Parker White as a. This can't be but one Parker White. Is on the kicking team at Ole Miss.
That's probably right.
Yeah, and wide receiver.
Yeah, they'll use him as a.
No, they got him in South Carolina.
Yeah, well, he might have transferred. He might have transferred to South Carolina. We'll check on that. Parker White was a kicker and receiver at South Carolina, what it was listed as. But I tell you, it's a lot of fun this time of year, and I think the schedule of this Hall of Fame banquet the night before the opener against Southern University. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I've got a big party planned too, you know, like I always do. So it's going to be a lot of fun, and it'll be all in your honor.
From Mississippi, I'm going to bring about 6 or 8 down here from Mississippi.
Wait a minute, not in those outlaws now. You're not going to bring any outlaws down there, out here with you.
I'll let y'all determine that.
hey, these boys don't play now, do they?
I guarantee you. But you see, I'll tell you what, you know my college roommate was John Fairclough.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Tough Joe.
Me too.
Well,
me
I'm
too.
bringing a guy that could be his twin brother. Maybe bigger Joe.
And you know, John will be there for you too. You know that. Of course, he's a former
I'll tell you one thing
inductee.
about Wesley Graham. I'm gonna bring it. Just tell you, at 16 years old, he was a bouncer in the biggest bar in Tupelo. And I'll leave it at that.
Oh yeah. Okay. Did you ever run into many people that actually knew Elvis personally?
No. See, remember he left Tupelo at 8 or 10 years old.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought he his mama lived there.
No. They moved to Memphis because Aaron, the dad, had got a job up there.
Yeah.
And where he was born here. All his grandparents came from the county I'm in, Etowah County. That's where his grandparents, great-grandparents all grew up. But Elvis's dad was just a common laborer, and they grew up. He grew up in a shotgun house, and all that's never been to the museum and all this. It's really a big. It draws over 1 million people a year.
Oh yeah.
In fact, when you sign up for the tours in Graceland in Memphis, they bring a bus down from Memphis every day during the summertime.
You know, I was wondering.
You can see when the buses come through.
Yeah. Somebody told me he was a good baseball player. That's hard for me to believe, but somebody said he was a real good baseball player.
Well, you know, he can dance so good that he probably was a good athlete.
Agile, yeah, he had. I mean, I think he had a black belt in karate. He was all the things outside besides his music.
Oh yeah.
But that took off really young in his life. He was a truck driver. I think he went in and cut that first record at Sun Studios in Memphis when he was about 18 or 18.
I don't know how we got on Elvis, but we did. We jumped.
Tupelo.
Yeah, exactly, from Tupelo, Mississippi.
And you know, a couple years after Elvis cut that demo at Sun Records, a guy named Johnny Cash did the same thing.
Yeah. You know,
they brought them all in. If you've ever been to Sun, they've got all the pictures. Jerry Lee Lewis, Johnny Cash, and all the guys that ran in and out of there. That was the before Russell Shoals and all got the studio as a branch out of Nashville. Tupelo was kind of the center because it had the blues already, and then of course the rockabilly stuff that started right here with Elvis.
What's the population of Tupelo, would you say?
About 45,000.
Let me say this: some good friends of mine came out of Indianola, Mississippi.
Yeah, that's over the Delta. Yeah.
All right, and one of their favorite sons was a guy named Jack Gregory, who played at Delta State, and he later on played for.
Delta State was his last stop.
Yeah.
He was like some other good friends of ours. He made about 3 stops.
He went to Chattanooga. One of them was Chattanooga too.
Right.
And later on.
He played a season and transferred.
But then he played 12 or 15 years in the NFL and was a great defensive end.
Oh, he was a great one. Yeah, no doubt.
And he played against your team that y'all beat him in Ozark on that last play again from Sam Bird to Danny Grant.
Hey, let me ask Max. I know you want to probably comment on Coach Bowden since you've heard that news.
Yeah, that was very sad. We had heard rumors about that early on because he had kind of dropped out of the speaking tour, and even though at 90 years old, he was just, last time I talked to him was a little over a year ago, and he was just as spry and as active as any time I'd ever had him on the air. But since then, we've got the word that his health has started to deteriorate. But of course, they released that, and I mean, the outpouring of congratulatory on his career, it's just been amazing. But guys, I'm going to tell you, I was there 2 years. And everything you read about him is right. I mean, he was the epitome of what you think about a football coach ought to be.
Yeah.
He could be hard-nosed and tough as he can, but he could be as understanding. And he said, as I said this morning in a couple of quotes, he set the bar extremely high about the way you need to live your life. He had his priorities right, and you read his remarks as of yesterday that he was secure and felt very secure in his future, and his attitude
You know, I use the word godly. I reckon that would be a good way to explain who Bobby Bowden was. And you know, a lot of folks say, well, he's a football coach, but let me tell you this: he put Jesus Christ first in his life. I guarantee you. Anytime he could go speak about the Lord Jesus Christ, and he took advantage of it. He was a great public speaker. As much as a preacher than as a coach, wouldn't you say?
No, I don't think there's any doubt, Mike. If you ever around him very long, and, you know, he wore that badge and wore it proudly, and you know. Now I'll say this: he set the bar high for himself and expected everybody to live around that. But he had some guys just under him that ran that program pretty tight. I don't know that Coach Bowden will spend eternity with those guys.
Yeah. Let me ask you some things. You on the staff there. What kind of person was Mickey Andrews?
But he was hard. He's the only guy I would do spit on your breakfast. That guy was he was.
Would you go eat breakfast with that guy?
Bobby, well, you know, the difference is Bobby. I don't know how to say it, but he wasn't quite as disciplined as Coach Bowden. So I never heard a profane word come out of Coach Bowden's mouth.
Yeah, I bet.
Mickey sometimes had a problem with his vocabulary when it came to, particularly when he got excited.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was as good a football coach as I've ever been around. I mean, he had a mind like a steel trap, and he could figure out. Of course, we recruited well. A lot of people forget back in the 80s. When Florida State was on top, man, we were playing to level Alabama's playing.
Oh yeah.
We moved there, we got more in the country. You know, I mean, it was 14 years in the top 5. That'll never be broken.
I know that was unreal, no question about it.
Well, it was you know, Mickey did a remarkable job, and he lost his wife and his son, but he still lives in Tallahassee.
Yeah.
And I don't think he gets out very much anymore.
Yeah. Did Mickey Andrews? Did he come with Coach Bowden to Florida State, or how did he hook up with Coach Bowden?
He was a defensive coordinator at Florida with Charlie Pale and that.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Then he came. I think Coach Bowden had already been at Florida State 4 or 5 years before Mickey showed up.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's a Charlie Pale connection to Mickey Andrews.
And you know, you talk about these coaches, and you know, you run into a lot of them like Andrews that were hard nosed and they talk rough, and but like you said, Bobby Bowden, he didn't have to act in any certain way to get a kid to play hard. He just walked in that huddle.
Yeah, it was. I can sit and just keep you story after story. My office was right across the hall, and we used to laugh when a kid, you know, Coach Bowden had a policy and a formula. When the kid got out of line and all, he gave him every opportunity. But now he would get involved to some degree. But we always, when a kid showed up at his office with assistant coach, it was to pick up his bus ticket, because that was the last stop. I mean, by the time he got there, they extinguished every other opportunity for the kid to stay. And Coach Bowden would handle it with grace, though.
Yeah.
And you know, he'd take care of the kid. He'd make recommendations for him to go somewhere else. Pick up the phone and call some other school for him to transfer to. To me, he was the epitome. I don't know that bowl ever.
So here's what I'm thinking about. We've all been around him, you more than anybody, and just how gracious and kind and how he treats everybody the same. But there must have been some kind of hard edge to him that he, or else I don't think he could run a program. I mean, you got to be able to say no.
Bill, I think it was his success, and he earned that, if that makes sense. That means he didn't have to prove that every day after he'd been there a while. You know, he went for the interview at Alabama. Not the interview, he went to take the job at Alabama. And I think it was Joe.
Joab Thomas.
Yeah, he blew it. He just blew it.
Yeah. He said, well, no, you're going to go through the process. He said, no, I didn't come to. He said, I got a good job.
Yeah.
He said, I don't have to interview. He got in his car and came back to Tallahassee because that was the time I was on the staff when they made the move to the ACC.
close.
It was a
Yeah.
thing that everybody thought they were coming to the SEC, but there was some other integral parts there that they just felt it was.
You reckon how many national championships would he have won at Alabama? They would have continued to win national championship with Bobby Bowden, wouldn't he?
Yep.
And
I just that would have been a whole different. He wasn't like Coach Bryant. He wasn't, he wasn't like Nick Saban. He was just. I can't explain that personality to you. Bill, you're right. I mean, if you're around him very long, like prior to a speaking engagement, or you got him on an interview on the air, like we did so many times, he was always the same. It was just a low key, a confidence level that came through in his demeanor.
And he never, you're gonna know this name, Ed O'Toole. Do you remember Ed O'Toole?
I remember Ed. Sure.
Ed was Bobby Bowden's best friend, and Ed used to tell stories about him that he would spend the night with the team on Friday night at the motel, out on the outskirts of Tallahassee.
Go to America,
yeah. Exactly, and he would say, Ed, come on and join me. He didn't want to. He didn't want to sleep by himself, so he got old Ed to come in there, and Ed loves to talk, and he said, you'll get my mind off of him, and what it meant was it would be constant conversation, and that's what he wanted.
Yeah,
because he's a talker too. He's a talker in the world himself. Don't you agree?
Yeah, he was a unique guy. I just tell you, he felt this, literally, and you touched on it a while ago. He felt as comfortable behind the pulpit of the church speaking as he did on the football field. I mean, it was, it was just, he grew into this confidence level, grew because he won everywhere he went.
Exactly.
He started off at West Georgia over at a junior college, went back to Howard College.
Yeah, he cheated a little bit when he went to that school in Georgia. Didn't he take a bunch of those players with him to Howard College?
Well, that's a junior college.
Yeah, I know it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that was just a transfer thing he did, and of course, at that time he set the standard for what we did at Troy.
Yeah, that's right.
Transfer student.
That's right.
He knew good well you couldn't win at that level with what you were going to recruit there. If you're going to win, you got to take those kids that have been recruited by bigger schools that were more talented than what you could.
I think that
go to a school like that.
When he was the coach at Howard, I think he put one of the worst beatings on Troy. And Troy, what was it, 80-0?
80-0.
That probably is the worst beating.
Did you play on that team, Max? You did, didn't you?
That was my last ball game at Troy. I was a senior that year.
Yeah.
And I was actually a junior, had a 1 year eligibility left, and that was one of the things I regretted is I didn't go back for my senior year. I should have done that.
Yeah.
Of course, hindsight's 20/20, but I was so aware of wanting to get out and go to coaching, I couldn't hardly see it. And we didn't have a great football team, as far as wins and losses concerned.
But
Mike, you've heard me say this 100 times. Bill Clemson and that staff taught all of us how to coach.
That's right.
They didn't mention winning to them.
That's right.
It took Billy Atkins to come down and teach them how to win.
But that same year they beat Tampa, and Tampa had a real good team, a big time team.
So I'm going to do some math here. So if you would have been playing in that game in around 1960 or 61.
That was 61.
So then Coach Bowden was the coach at Samford then, so that was 59 years ago, and he's now 91. So he was coaching at Samford when he was about 30, 31 years old, right?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely right.
Let me tell you a quick story about him before we get off. Well, we're going to get off. I'll save it for another day, a rainy day. Max, thank you. But Max, listen quickly. Have you cooked anything that's good lately?
Now, you know what? It's so hot up here, and it's been raining over weekends, Mike. We just kind of held off for a while. We're aiming to this opening kickoff, so
y'all be ready, won't you?
So y'all getting a lot of rain